Maybe it has something to do. There we go. You're live. Okay. Jeez, Lou, that was annoying. Sorry about that. I hate it when people have technical difficulties. If they do, I just tune them out. So I'm glad you're still with me. So sorry about that. Anyway, this is my daily parenting live. My website is bratbusters.com. If you want to check, you can behaviour board. And I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, my live's a little bit thickly. Anyway, or on my homepage on bratbusters.com, you can download my free behavior board. You're on that too. That's what makes it work. And anyway, that's free. That's on my homepage on bratbusters.com. I have paid courses, but they're on the courses page. But the the behavior board is free. So, and lots of people are getting great success with that on their own. It's very different. If you hire me, the behavior board's the easy part. It's how to make it work is the hard part. That's when it's personal. And I was just talking to someone today, a client, and I'm working with friends. They're friends, and so I'm working with them independently, and they compare notes all the time. And they said that the advice I give them is completely different. So, because I have to customize it to every single parent. It's never the same. So, but yeah, coaching is completely different, but you can get success on your own potentially too. So that's all free. If you want to go on my website or these daily lives, there will answer questions for free. So what are your parenting questions? Okay. Oh, does the toddler course have more than one access? Like if I watch it, my husband can later? I guess so. I've never done that, so I don't know. But it's yeah, I'm assuming so. All you need is your login, and then you can see it from anywhere. It's not a one-off. You can watch it as many times as you want. So I'm assuming that would work. If not, let me know, because I know lots of parents. No one's ever asked me that, so I'm assuming it does work because they would have asked me if it wasn't, right? Okay. My daughter had to move home with her two daughters, 3 and 7. Oh, and both don't listen. Okay. And then you said, how do I deal with? Well, you don't. So it's your daughter's children. I only teach parenting. I don't teach grandparenting. So if your daughter needs my help, she'd have to talk to me herself, because I don't tell other people how to tell people how to parent, because then if they don't like it, and you see where I'm going with that? I'm very, very particular with that. Like I get asked to do a lot of work that I won't do. And that's one of them. I teach parenting, not grandparenting, or not teaching, or not child psychology. I get hired from all those people, but the parents have to be involved. Oh, this is terrible. Just now, I just read this the wrong way. Best thing for an odd child. It's ODD, oppositional defiant disorder child. An odd child. What an odd thing to say about your kid. It's because usually it's in caps. That threw me off. Anyway, it's the same. Oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, is not a medical diagnosis. It's just an acronym invented by doctors to tell parents, your child's just oppositional. Here's my thing to that, is that they're not really oppositional. You just got to work on your leadership skills. It's nothing to do with you. It really, or them. It's all you. That's all it is. They might be a little bit feistier, but it's all about you. You become a really calm leader and they will follow. You lead, they will follow. It's just the way it is. It's never about the kids. We're never fixing kids here. We're fixing parents. That's why I'm a parenting coach. I'm not a toddler coach. I'm not a child coach. I'm not a teenager coach. Sorry, I'm just thrown off by that whole YouTube thing, but it's going now. Okay. But yeah, it's all about you and your leadership skills. So you can work on that. We can only change ourselves. So if we have that in mind and we understand that it really is just about us, then parenting takes on a whole other meaning. Okay. It's not about dealing with an ODD child. It's about dealing with our leadership skills. Okay. Someone on YouTube asked me, I'm talking to TikTok. That's where my audience is. That's why I'm always looking like that when I'm on YouTube. But I've got a question on YouTube from Noel. My 3-year-old daughter acts silly all the time. Does this mean she needs to some energy out, or is this attention seeking? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would have to assess that. I'd have to, was she always silly when she acts silly? What do you mean by silly? Is she just a normal 3-year-old, or is she more silly than most 3-year-olds and never takes anything seriously, which 3-year-olds often don't do? So I don't quite know. I can't answer that one. It's too much of a general question, meaning I'd have to ask too many questions before I could give you an answer. But yeah, she may be asking for attention, or she may just be a normal 3-year-old. I don't know what you mean by silly. So Okay. How to approach when my 4-year-old son is biting and hitting himself when frustrated. That's 4 years old. They don't usually do that unless it gets the desired result. In other words, do you overreact? Do you get upset by that? Do you end up giving in? So at that age, they tend to only do what works. That would say to me that it's working. Is that right? So what I would do is I would make sure that wouldn't work. Whatever your 4-year-old, your son wants, and then he starts doing that, I would just say no, and I would restrain him from hurting himself. So I would just hold him here and hold him down at your side. You're both facing forward. Say, no, I don't want you biting yourself. I'll just hold you till you've calmed down a little bit. Something like that. Don't, it's all about actions, not so much words. But yeah, 4 years old, that just says to me that it must work. There must be a payoff for that. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. I was talking to someone earlier or yesterday, I can't remember. Anyway, a parent, and they said, this is what's happening. This, and I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense to me because I understand kids. And sometimes like that at 4 years old, if they're still doing that, yeah, there's got to be a payoff for that. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just doesn't add up. It doesn't compute. Okay. 3-year-old constantly interrupting, you just say you do not interrupt anymore. And when you do, there's going to be a consequence. So I would put that on the behavior board, no interrupting, and then explain what that is. Say when grown-ups are talking, but that's not really a fair ask if you're not meeting her needs. Okay. That interrupting is about managing her wants. So you meet their needs and manage their wants. That's the managing their wants is the discipline, but are you meeting her needs? Does she get enough attention? If so, there's no way I would put up with interrupting. My kids knew if I was on the phone or I was talking to someone, they would not come near me. Just wouldn't have. I would have gone, are you kidding me? Like, just wouldn't have done that. So yeah, put it on the behavior board, no interrupting. As long as you know you're meeting your child's needs and they're getting enough attention already, then it's just fine to come down tough with that one and put it on the behavior board. How do you help a 3-year-old to do more independent play? I don't know. Why is that throwing me off? Independent play. I'm wondering. Yeah, that one's just kind of throwing me off. Are they in kindy or preschool? And generally, that teaches them how to have independent play. But are you always interacting with them all throughout the day, and then all of a sudden you pull it back? Or have you taught them? Like what I used to do with my kids is I'd start playing with them, and then I'd say, "Okay, mommy's going to go do this." And then if they interrupted me, I said, look, I told you to go play with that. So mommy's very busy doing that. And if they kept at me, then I would kind of deal with that, as a naughty behavior. But if you're meeting their needs and managing their wants, so they already get enough time with you, then you got to teach them how to do this stuff sometimes. But yeah. Okay. Does calm leadership work with a 15-year-old girl, depressed and cutting? So she's a cutter, a self-harmer. I have her in therapy. Calm leadership. That's crisis work. That's coaching. I can't answer that here. I do a lot of that, but I don't discuss it on TikTok because I got kids watching me too. And plus, I don't know. I need history. I need context. I need background. I need information before I can answer that. Yeah, I deal with a lot of that. I actually started my business dealing with parents of troubled teens. And that was a big cutting is really, really common with teenagers. So depressed teenagers. Yeah, that's coaching. If you want my help with that, you're going to have to hire me for coaching. It's on bratbusters.com. I just downloaded your course. Which course is that? You mean the behavior board? My daughter will be fine. We're having some behavioral shit. Yeah, if that's the behavior board, I hope it works on its own. Often it does, but I always say coaching, the making up the behavior board is easy. When you're doing it on your own, make sure you can win that battle. So you put a very easy to win rule on that as your child's rule. Okay, you want to win those battles. If I'm working with you, the behavior board is the quick part. Teaching you how to make it work is the hard part. So yeah, but that's why we pick something harder if I'm coaching you. But if you're doing it on your own, pick something easy. Okay, making it work is hard. It's like anything, right? Anyone can give you a diet or a workout routine. That's the easy part. Helping you through it and coaching you how to make it work. That's the hard part. So yeah, lots of parents are getting really great success on their own with the behavior board, but they do say they back it up a lot with these lives, because it's like anything, you're learning a new skill, and you can learn anything really quickly, but it's that constant hearing about it, and because we're changing habits, we're adults, right? We get set in our ways. So it's that constant having it drilled into you. This is what you do. This is kindness. This is respect, because you want to give respect to get it. You don't just expect to get it. You got to give it first. Okay. My 3-year-old snuck away and ate a cookie after being told no. How do I handle behavior like that? You say no sneaking cookies and you put it on the behavior board. And when they do that, you say, here's the consequence. What would be a good one for that? I like to make the punishment fit the crime. Snuck a cookie. This one's a little bit mean. Would I do that? No, I don't want to tell you that one. It would work, but it's a little bit mean. The thing is that I know exactly what I do, but if you're not really proficient with all my methods, it might come across as mean. But I don't want to tell you what I would do. Let me think. What should I recommend here? Snuck a cookie. So I would... Okay, a good way to manage that, it's still sort of using my method, but a little bit kinder. So what I would do, a little bit easier, is if there's a sibling or even just you could do this. Say, okay, you snuck a cookie. I didn't like that. So next time we have cookies, I'll explain what we're going to do as your consequence. So next time you have cookies, break the cookie in 3 parts, or have a cookie and a half there, and say, okay, I'm going to eat 2 of those pieces, and you're just going to get 1 because you snuck that cookie yesterday. Or even better, if they have a sibling, the sibling gets twice as much because they snuck a cookie. That's the punishment fitting the crime. It's a little bit of a tricky one. You got to really set that one up. But yeah, I would do that. Really fits the crime. So you would have had a full cookie if you hadn't snuck that one yesterday. Do you understand? It's not quite what I would do, but it's a nicer version of it. Okay. 17-year-old girl who severely lies and manipulates to gain control. That's coaching. How could I possibly give you an answer on that? I need to know, what's the history? What's your relationship like? What are her friends like? Does she do drugs? Does she skip school? What are her grades like? What's your relationship like? I need to do a whole bunch of assessment before I can even begin to give you an answer with that. Teens are almost always coaching. I have very few general responses. And I was just talking to a client earlier who said that they have a friend that I also coach, and they said, they compare notes all the time. And they said that the way I talk to each of them is completely different. And they have the same age kids. So you can imagine with teenagers how different the coaching is. It's very personalized. I need a whole bunch of assessing before I can even begin to answer that. I don't know why she's doing it. And if she even thinks she has a chance of gaining control, that tells me a lot about your lack of leadership. So if she thinks she can gain control over you, that's a bit of a tell for me. So we'd work on you. It's all about you. We'd work on you. And you never discipline a teenager to get respect. You do that with young children, but with teenagers, you have to get respect before you can discipline. So it's work. It's hard work. Is it doable? Yeah, but it's hard work. Parents often don't like what I tell them to do, especially with teenagers. Boy, they fight me on that. Not so, no, once in a while they do. I'm older than most of my clients now, but when I was younger than most of my clients, some of them would fight me on that. I'm not going to do that. And I said, well, I can't help you then. Do you want your money back? Oh, I guess not. But now they don't tend to fight me as much. But I'm going to tell you stuff you don't want to hear. What you have to do, you have to make amends. You have to apologize sometimes. But yeah, it's tricky. It's give, take. Give, take. Parents they have unrealistic expectations of teenagers. They say, well, all I ever do is I'm so kind to them, and they never treat me well. And I'm saying, right, that's common, right? It's more give than take. Eventually it'll be give, take. But at first it's give, take, give, take. It's tricky. Okay. I've got another question on my YouTube here. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to answer the, how long do you use the behavior board for? When you first introduce it, 3 weeks, you talk about it longer. It's 3 weeks, but you won't, okay. 3 weeks, then you should start to see a shift or a change, or you should start feeling like you're getting respect. If not, you're doing something wrong. There's something missing there. I'd have to figure that out. That's more coaching. But yeah, if it's just general, within 3 weeks, you should start to see a change. Those 3 behavior boards, so 1 per week, they stay up there indefinitely. But you only have 3 at a time. You can change the rules on them potentially, but be careful with that. If you're relying solely on that behavior board, it's not going to work forever. It starts to sort of lose its emphasis. And besides, you want to learn how to do in the moment discipline. Usually after the 3rd session or at the 3rd session, I'll say to my client, okay, no more behavior boards. And I'll often say to them, here, you do the 3rd one all by yourself. You already know how that's done. I'm going to talk about how you do in the moment disciplining, because that's what you want. Like, I never used a behavior board. It's just a teaching tool. It's teaching you how to give respect to get it. It's teaching you how to discipline. Once you've learned how to do that, you go off the behavior board. You still keep them up and you can still use them, but you may not need them. That's the whole goal. You want to get off those behavior boards. They kind of, I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong, they are. I've been using them. I never changed them in 16 years. I've never changed them. That I've been teaching, but they kind of make you look almost kind of weak. Like, I would never use a behavior board because I want them looking at me. I don't want to refer to a board. I'm like, okay, here's what's going to happen. Okay. And then I'd lay down the law. Because you did that, here's the consequence. Do you understand? It makes you look stronger. The behavior board's wonderful for learning how to do this, but I would never use one. It's sort of, it weakens the whole process a little bit once you get good at it. It's a weaker way to go. But initially, it's a great learning tool. I have not changed it in 16 years, which says a lot. The only thing I've done different is, I'd say, in the last few months, I used to say the new behavior board goes up front. The old ones you do on a smaller piece of paper and put the other 2 behind it. Now I'm saying slap them all up side by side. But they're still the same, but you just present them differently. That's the only thing I've changed, but I haven't changed the way it works. Okay, thank you very much. You're very welcome. 4-year-old gets overly dramatic when she gets hurt. I kind of ignore that. I'd go, okay, you'll survive. My mother would have said, oh, you'll survive. And I went, oh. Didn't work with my mom, and it wouldn't have worked with me. Oh, I love this one. Okay, my 8-year-old keeps hurt. Well, I don't love it because of what he's doing, but it's a really easy answer. My 8-year-old keeps hurting his 3-year-old younger brother, blah, blah, blah. Oh, because he hits him. Oh, so the younger one hits first. I don't know what's going on. I'd have to figure out who's the instigator there. I don't know who's the instigator there. Like, is it the older one or is it the younger one? You have to assess that first. You have to figure out who instigated. It's not necessarily the one who threw the first punch. It's often the other one. They usually hit for a reason. So is the older one going, you can't have it, you're just 3. You see, that's the instigator right there. So I can't answer that and often parents can't answer that. I'll say, who's the instigator? And they go, well, he hit him first. And I'm saying, that's not what I'm asking. Who started it? Could just be with words or a look or a snotty body language. So you need to assess that first before I can answer that. But if the older one is just hurting the younger one just because they get on their nerves, then I always make the older one I tell you to make the older one hand over a favorite toy for the younger one to play with for an hour or the rest of the day. So make the punishment fit the crime. They're mean to them, they have to be nice to them. That one works beautifully. That's why I said I like this answer, and then I read the question further and realized it didn't really apply. Okay. Ooh, kids dislike that, but it works. Is that the one with the handing over something nice for the younger? Oh, yeah. That's one of my clients' favorite ones. They say, gee, that one works. I'm like, yeah, it's a good one. It's one of my favorite ones recently. I've got a few up my sleeve that I really like. Saying no repeatedly and taking things away doesn't help. Well, no, if you have to say it twice, they're in charge. I would never repeat myself. No Fruit Loopin' way would I repeat myself. So yeah, soon as they do something wrong, I'm like, I know what's going to happen now. I just let them keep digging their grave, right? I just keep letting them go for it. Then when they're done, I say, okay, I'll tell you what, I didn't like that. So there's no TV tonight. Do you understand? Okay, something like that. You let them commit the crime. There's no way I would repeat myself. Then they're in charge. I know what you're going to ask, and you probably are. Never mind. I won't answer it until someone asks, because I know where that goes. I know exactly what comes up after I say that. I'm actually getting some questions on YouTube. I'm not used to that because my audience is on TikTok, right? Okay. 2 and 4-year-olds scream, sometimes get angry or start crying when, for example, struggle with putting clothes on. What can I do? You mean both of them are doing that? So I don't quite know how to answer that. With a 2-year-old, I restrain them and hold them down. I am so quick at getting a diaper on and getting clothes on kids. I restrain them, then it's on. It's the same thing with the karate chop, getting them in the car seat. So if they go stiff as a board, they actually go like that usually. They go so stiff. Then I just hold them in like right where their hips are. Just wait, wait, wait. As soon as they start to relax or take a breath, karate chop or just push them down, get them in. I do the same thing. I physically restrain them and get their clothes on. They don't tend to fight once you know you're in charge. 4-year-old, I'm not too sure, screaming and all that. It just means you got to get organized. You got to set your leadership skills up. That's what that says to me. They know you're not a leader. So a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, they're going to be crazy anyway. But a 4-year-old screams, sometimes get it. Yeah, that's your leadership skills. Keep watching me. You can download my free behavior board. It starts at the age of 3. You got to learn how to give respect to get it. You got to set yourself up as a calm leader. That stuff just doesn't happen with a 4-year-old. It will with a 2-year-old. They're crazy anyway. One marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They don't have any common sense yet. They're brand new, fresh human beings. So you got to understand them before you can really deal with them. Okay. 14-year-old girl doesn't like school, often says she feels ill to get out of it. How to know the truth? Yeah, you know. Don't you know? She's 14. Don't you know? Um, yeah, it's teenage stuff. I always wish I could answer that easily. I don't know what your relationship is like. How often does she do that? How do you know if she's really ill? Does she get bad cramps? I used to miss a day of school every month. I had such horrendous cramps, and the school nurse didn't believe me. But then I said, "Fine." I said, "Oh," and she said, "I want you in the sick room, and I'll be in there with you, because rather than let me go home." She I think she drove me home back in the day when they could. She saw me. I broke out in a sweat. I was delirious, pure white. I mean, I had horrendous. So I don't know. I wouldn't have faked it at all, because my mother would have called me on that for sure. But is she faking it or not? I don't know. That's up to you to figure out. We'd have to ask a few questions there. Like, what's she like? Oh, and when she does stay home, does she have her phone? Like, if my kids stayed home and if I suspected they were lying, there'd be no media. They'd be in bed with a thermometer and a book to read. That would be it. So is there a payoff for staying home? Plus, that can even sometimes backfire, because they might be happier doing that than going to school. What's going on at school? I would investigate that. There again, I'd have to assess the situation before I could really help you move forward with that. Coaching is almost always applicable with teenagers, because there's so much history with teenagers, and they're more complex as they get older, which makes sense. Bath time struggles, 2-year-old, how to make washing hair easier. Can't really help you with that. 2-year-olds are crazy. Okay. Maybe try the shower, maybe get in the shower with them, wash their hair that way. But yeah, they're just crazy. It's always about physical stuff. It's always actions. It's always, you have to restrain them to wash their hair. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. But if you're good at that and you don't allow it to get to you, if you just say, I'm going to wash your hair, and you might just hold them in like this and then just scrub their hair like that, and then you just shower it off, make it fast. Don't make it really efficient. Might not be a great job, but just show them that no matter what they do, you can physically restrain them. Nothing wrong with that. Someone said, they said to me, well, that's really mean, then they feel you don't love them. And I thought, if you have a child that doing that makes them feel unloved, you got bigger fish to fry. Because any child who is secure in the way your love for them, it wouldn't bother. I often get that with parents who talk about, well, if I ignore tantrums and I don't validate every single feeling, then they don't feel loved. And I thought, well, you got bigger fish to fry. If that upsets them and they don't feel loved, you're missing something. So ignoring a tantrum does not make a child feel unloved. It makes them stop having tantrums, because they're going, well, that didn't work. What if you ask them to do something and they don't listen, so they ignore you? I consider that really rude. I just did a video on that, so I can't get my other screen working. I don't know what's going on. I've been so flustered during this live because I don't have my normal screen going. So, yeah, I just did a video on what to do when they ignore you. I consider that a big no-no. So, and I don't repeat myself. So if they ignore you, then afterwards, then I would deal with it. I said, remember earlier I asked you to do something, you didn't do it? The consequence for ignoring me is da 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 da. I started ignoring my son's tantrums because of you. Thank you so much. So it's working. So you're not validating every single feeling and emotion, and good for you. Good for you. That's you. That's on you. You've earned that. That's good for you. Yeah. Um, teen won't do online schoolwork on time, can't take away computer because it's needed for school, up all night. Yeah, there's something you could do. We'd have to work out a system around that. I don't know how your household is set up, but you might have to just supervise that. And whenever a teenager or a kid is working on a screen and they say, well, I watched them, they were on the computer. Is the screen facing you or just them? Like, is the back of the screen facing you? Like, you need to be able to see that screen to get them to be accountable. So yeah, you're going to have to police that more. That's all there is to it. You're just going to have to police it more. If you want my help, you can hire me for that. Oh, good one. I love this one. I love it because I don't get as much hate on me anymore because I think all those people have moved away. They realize it doesn't bother me. I actually quite like it because if I'm interrupting what's the norm out there, that means I'm making a change. And this validating all these feelings when they're having tantrums has just got to stop. It's ridiculous. Okay, so Marina says, when 4-year-old has a tantrum, she starts asking for hugs and kisses and saying, I love you. Should I ignore that? Yes. That's manipulation. She's 4, okay? And she's just doing that to pull you in. You ignore me, I'm going to say I'm unloved. I don't feel loved. I need a hug. I need this. And you just ignore all that. I'd be filing my nails. And then as soon as they calm down, I'd say, oh, do you want to go to the park? Do you want to read a book? Then they can sit in my lap, whatever. Chances are when they're not upset anymore, they're not going to want a hug anyway. So they're just doing it to pull you in. They're just trying to get you on, like they're just trying to win, basically. So yeah, I would ignore that. Do you have kids? Yeah, they're probably your age. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're 16. No, my kids are 33 and 28. I didn't learn much from them. I learned how to live with teenagers, though. That's really important. Living with teenagers is different from working with them. Anyway, yeah, I didn't learn much from my own kids because I got respect when they were tiny. And then I just kind of sailed right through the teen years. I learned all this from working with really challenging kids and teenagers. So yeah, other people's kids taught me all this because I got respect when my kids were tiny. Maintaining respect is a piece of cake. Getting it is hard. So believe me, I worked my butt off to get respect with those troubled teens. So that was the biggest lesson I ever learned in life, was how to be vulnerable and never try and outsmart a troubled teenager. Never. You're never going to do it. Boy, they are clever. They're watching you. They're figuring you out. They're trying to look for your weaknesses. And yeah, just lay it all out there. Just be vulnerable. I still have rules. I don't take any crap. Okay. My husband plays good cop, bad cop. Any discipline is up to me, or he lets kids run wild. Okay. My ex-husband, we were together until the kids were 9 and 14. And then even after that, we always supported each other. We never fought or anything. So it was very amicable. Anyway, when the kids were little, not when they got older, because when they get older, about 3.5 to 4, if they've got a really good calm leader, they respect that leader so much that they treat everybody well. It's just the way it is. They are respectful children when they have a really calm leader at about 3.5 to 4. Anyway, before that, when they were alone with dad, they would sometimes push him, whereas they would never have done that with me. So he said to me one day, he'd taken our son out and he'd been rotten when they were out, totally manipulating his dad. So he says, how should I have handled that? And I didn't want him messing up the kids because discipline is my thing. I love all this. I find this easy. So the leadership stuff, I just love all this. So I said, just say to him, do you want me to tell mom? And that's all he had to say. And do you want me to tell mom? No, good as gold after that. So you only need one really good leader. And discipline, you say, discipline is up to me. I loved it. The leadership role, that's the star role. You want to be the leader. You want to be the one that they turn to. You want to be the one they tell everything to. That's the leader. That's what this is all about. I was the leader. Their dad's a great dad, but he was not the leader. It was me. I was in charge of the kids. It's just that there's always one who's more in charge than the other, for sure. But yeah, so don't be afraid of that. You know what's funny is when I'm working with people, when they get really good at this and they're the leader, the other parent wants to be the leader. So they fight over who doesn't want to discipline. Then when they get real good at it, they fight over who gets to do it. So yeah, but you got to back each other up. You always are on the same page. You don't have to have the same style at all, but you got to be on the same page and back each other up. When do you really start using your methods? At 3. When I'm coaching, I coach parents with babies too. But you don't start using generally what I'm talking about. The behavior board starts at 3. Okay. I kind of in these lives, I kind of eliminate a lot of toddler and teen stuff for different reasons, but they're a little bit harder to generalize with, especially teenagers. Yeah, you answered. Yeah, I have a boy and a girl. Well, 33 and 28. Yeah. Do you correct how your kids speak to you or their tone? Mom of 8 and 4. Once you are a leader, they don't have a tone. Once you're a good leader, they never talk to you with an attitude. It just doesn't happen. So work on your leadership skills. Once you get that cemented, that attitude drops away. So it's all you. It's all you. Okay. Yeah, you're asking me about teenage intimacy. I don't talk about that on here. That's coaching. I don't discuss that on I get kids watching this, and I can't. There is no black and white answer for that. It's gray. I need to know the situation, and that's an awkward one. You got a 16-year-old and 18-year-old who's an adult. That's an awkward one. Legally, it's awkward. So, but anyway, yeah, that's coaching. If you want my advice, you'd have to hire me for coaching, and that's on bratbusters.com. Um, Okay, someone asked, oh, they said message retracted. So someone on YouTube took their message back. I was just going to answer it, but now I won't because they obviously don't want me to. Okay. How to teach oh gosh. My regulars know I'm cringing over this one. How to teach toddlers to sit idle when going to doctors or restaurants without distractions. Good luck with that. You're asking the impossible. How to teach a toddler to be respectful when you're out. I mean, they're just going to do what they're going to do. Okay. What I did with my kids though is I met their needs before we went anywhere, made sure they were hungry and well slept. And then when we went out, I would bring them like a little goodie bag or something else to do. So if we went to a restaurant, I usually fed them before we went out. I just did. And because I'm a real health nut too. So I want to make sure they got some healthy food into them. And then we go out and usually, yeah, I just kind of catered to that. And then when we went out, I always had something for them to do when we were out. But yeah, toddlers are unpredictable. You're asking me, how do you control a toddler? I don't know. You can manage it to a certain degree, but yeah. And by the way, the doctors, once they've decided they don't like a doctor or they don't like the dentist, good luck with that. Once they've got that in their head, there is nothing you can do. No amount of candy or clowns or media, nothing. Once they get that in their head, they don't want to be there. Good luck with that. It's just the way it is. I've got a whole playlist on toddlers on TikTok here. So look that up. It kind of explains what I mean about toddlers. They're brand new, fresh human beings. You can't make sense out of them. They don't have any common sense yet. They don't have any context or about the world yet. They have no experience. Oops, sorry. I've been blessed with a kid that loves the doctor and dentist. Well, no one here wants to hear that probably. I'm like, I don't want to hear that. Okay. It's like I kind of went after them when they said this, but someone said on here, this was months and months ago, so I'm sure that person's gone. And they said, I don't know why all these parents are struggling with parenting. It's easy. That I just found it the easiest thing in the world. And I'm like, I went after them. Said, maybe you just had really easy kids. And she had 3 kids, and she said, all 3 of my kids were just a piece of cake. My daughter was like that. She was a piece of cake. She was born that way. It's just that my son was more normal, but he had tantrums. My daughter never cried. She never had tantrums. Easiest kid in the world. So maybe you just had really easy kids. So quit bragging and making other people feel bad. So I never saw her again. So it was funny. I'm not saying you're like that. I'm just saying people really don't want to hear how easy you have it. Because generally when people turn up on here, they're having problems, right? And I always say too, parenting did come easy to me. I had tons of experience with kids, but nothing else did. Like everything else I've had to work for. Kids, not so much. But yeah, so we've all got stuff that we find easy and stuff we find difficult. Okay. You asked about, oh, now you've put your question down again. Oh, no, that was another person that said their message was retracted. Oh, I can't see that message. Okay. So improve your 9-year-old's attention span. He's easily distracted during mealtime and homework. That just means there's not enough, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not enough incentive for him to actually sit still. You teach them stuff at home, like mealtime, bedtime, school morning time. It's all routines. Okay. Routines. They have to sit there and eat. If they don't, go to bed at a certain time, or they don't get ready for school in the morning at a certain time, or they don't sit down and not get up during a meal time, there's a consequence. Children learn just like we do through consequences. I know I'd be speeding down the freeway all the time if there was never a speeding ticket or the threat of a speeding ticket. We all live on consequences. So yeah, you just got to work on that. Work on the mealtime routine, the homework. There's no media until the homework's done. Like if one of my kids had said to me, "Can we watch TV?" Sure. As soon as you've done your homework, oh right, okay, and they just do it. So yeah, their lack of attention span is usually something that can be cured with consequences. How do you feel about tablets? Well, any media. Do you want my advice on that? I don't really have any. It's a gray area. There's not a one way or the other. It's not a black and white issue. I'm assuming you mean tablets and not pills, right? So anyway, electronic stuff. Anyway, there's two ways that I suggest that you deal with screen management time or media management. One of them I don't like, it's okay, but the other one I love. The first method is some parents like this, so some of my clients want to do this, and it's that you have a certain allotted time per day, maybe half hour or 1 hour per day that they can have screens, and that's it. And or you have a certain time frame that they can have screens, and that's it. I don't like that. That's up to you. You're micromanaging. You're not giving them any responsibility. And I'm all about teaching children how to be self-disciplining. Anyway, what I like is you give them like a certain allotted time per week. So you say, okay, 10 hours per week for screen time. You decide when that is and let them manage it. If they binge watch for the first 3 days and then they have no more time left, that's on them. You say, well, you'll know next time, won't you? So yeah, I'd rather not micromanage and teach children how to be self-disciplining. Like I never really told my kids what to do. They just kind of knew the rules and they didn't follow it. They knew mom would say, oh, you broke that rule. What do you think the consequence should be? Oh, darn it. Okay. That's how it went. But yeah, I don't like to micromanage kids. So that's why I like that media management one so much. I got a whole bunch of videos on that. Yeah, I didn't go into that in great detail. There's more details involved in that. If you want to look up media management, Bratbusters media management, that'll come up. How do I find the right consequence? If you download my free behavior board, it's on bratbusters.com. I got a whole bunch of ideas on there. It's a full course and it's free, so you can download that. Well, I don't know the answer to this because I don't know what's causing it. I need to know the cause before I can get to the effect. How to get siblings 5 and 8 to get along and stop fighting physically and verbally. I don't know why they'd be doing that. By 5 and 8, I don't know. So I'd have to figure out why. Who starts it? Who's the instigator? What's the payoff? What are they fighting over? My general TikTok answer is you separate them. So let's say they're both playing at a video game and then they start fighting. Take the older one out first. Say, okay, you come with me for 10 minutes in the kitchen, whatever. You don't talk about it. Just say, okay, you can't get along. You come with me for 10 minutes. Put the timer on, keep them in the kitchen with you while you're doing dishes or whatever. There's no anger. It's just, okay. And then you put them back together, watch them like a hawk. As soon as they start arguing again, take the other one out. You go back and forth and back and forth. After a weekend of that, they'll usually stop fighting, or they'll whisper fight behind your back, and who cares about that, right? Yeah, you're asking me about playtime with toddlers. I can't put a time on stuff. Like it's not measurable, so it's a gray area. I can't really recommend a specific time for that. Well, you said 11 and 13-year-old constantly playing on the phone. So then do the media management. I have a whole bunch of videos on that, and you always give the older one more. It's like with allowance, the older one always gets more. So the 13-year-old would get like an extra 15 minutes or whatever, like per day. So you add that all up. So how much would that be per week? But yeah, that's how I would manage that. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. How do I discipline my super headstrong 3-year-old? Yeah, some kids are just feistier than others. Yeah, it's all the same stuff though. I never worked with an easy kid, not once. I didn't learn this stuff with my own kids. I learned this working with feisty kids, a lot of ADHD, a lot of ODD, a lot of autism. I learned all this working with kids who were challenged in some way behaviorally. So, yeah, it's all the same stuff. You got to be really consistent and really patient. If you show fear or anger, they can smell it a mile away and they're in charge. If they can control your emotions, like if you can't control your emotions when you're disciplining a child, they are in charge and they know it very much so. So it's all the same stuff. Screen time includes TV. Yes, it just doesn't include family movie time. So if it's a family movie, you don't include that. So yeah, TV screens, all screens, phone, tablet, computer, TV. Do you know what? You say she's super feisty. Yeah, I hear this a lot. The more feisty the child, when I was working with kids and the teacher or whoever would say, here's one for you. Good luck with this. So they were the quickest ones to turn around for me. Do you know why? Because when those feisty kids come up against a really strong, calm leader, they almost go like this. Oh, finally. Like they're relieved. All children need, crave, and want a leader. And when they get one, they give in pretty quick because they don't want to be a leader. They don't want to be feisty. They don't want to be difficult. They don't want conflict and all that. They don't. They're pushing you to be a leader. So they're the quickest ones for me to turn around. They're not the easiest ones to turn around, but they're the quickest. They're the ones that go like, oh, finally, okay. It's almost literally almost like that. So yeah, like I said, I didn't learn this stuff with my own kids. They were easy. You know, I got respect when they were tiny, and they were more passive kids, both of them. Although my son had tantrums and my daughter never did. So she was super easy. He was just more normal, but he was also quite a passive boy. He was never physical. But yeah, I didn't learn this with my own kids. That's why if you're going to hire someone or look to someone for advice or buy a parenting book, I always say there's two criteria that I would suggest you look for. One is, have they finished the job? So in other words, have they raised their own kids through to adulthood? If they've just got toddlers, they can't teach. You can't. How could you? If you haven't finished the job, how do you know what's going to lead to those teen years, right? So they have to have finished the job. The second one is, I didn't learn much with my own kids compared to what I teach. I learned this through working with hundreds of other kids. They have to have worked with hundreds of other kids with all sorts of challenges. Otherwise, it's experience-based. You can't learn this in school. It's experience-based. If someone doesn't have that level of experience, I wouldn't listen to them. I just wouldn't. It's like listening to someone with financial advice if they have $10 in the bank compared to $1 billion in the bank. Who are you going to take advice from, right? It's proven results kind of stuff. So, oh gosh, yes. Have you ever worked with a child with selective mutism? Yep, absolutely. Any advice for communicating at school? Often it comes from trauma, sometimes not. And when I say trauma, it might not have even been anything that huge in our eyes, but to them it is. It's often caused by that. That's a coaching issue. I'd have to figure that out. A lot of investigation to figure that one out because each child's so completely different. Um, oh, what do you recommend for a first grader who refuses to practice reading even when there's a reward? I don't do reward charts. I do not do that. Yeah, you just say, sure, of course you can watch TV. As soon as if they want something, there's always leverage. If you want something, yeah, but you have to do this first. Okay. So they have to practice reading for 20 minutes a day or whatever it is. Sure, you can watch TV. It's not a reward. It's just you withhold what they like until they've done the reading. Or if they won't do it, then there's a consequence. So there's two different ways of going about that. But yeah, like if my kids had said, can we watch TV? And I'd say, well, as soon as you've done your homework. So they would never have asked to watch TV if they hadn't already done their homework because they learn really young. Well, sure, of course you can watch TV as soon as you've done your homework. So it's like you teach children how to, that they need to do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. Okay. They can learn that very, very young. Sure, you can do what you want to do. As soon as you've done what you need to do first. They learn that really young. The $1 billion for sure. Yeah, it's just, and parenting is experience-based. That's why so many of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists, social workers, because they've got all these wonderful child development degrees, but I couldn't do their job, right? Parenting's different. There's no degree in parenting. It's just experience based. So it's a whole different thing. It's personal. It's personal. It's very different. Any advice for tantrums when it's time to come inside, no matter how long we play outside? Well, you give them a bit of a warning. You say, we're going to be going inside in 10 minutes, and then let them have the tantrum. You never try and prevent a tantrum. If you do, they're in charge because you're afraid of it. I would welcome it, like, okay, we're going to be going inside in 5 minutes. Okay, it's 5 minutes is up inside. No, I'm not going. I would pick them up and drag them in if I had to and ignore, then I would ignore the tantrum, but they would be going inside. But yeah, don't ever be afraid of a tantrum. Behind every scene is a lesson. Without the scenes, there's no lesson, right? If you need to teach them lessons, some kids are just easy anyway. But if a kid needs a lesson, you got to be willing to go through that storm to get to the rainbow. Behind every scene is a lesson. Don't be afraid of it. Just manage it really calm, but make it happen. You're coming inside, and that's it. And pick them up and take them inside. Like if my kids, when they got older, especially if I'd said something and they had said no to me, I'm sure I had my mom's look, and my mom had mom's look. My mom, it's just a look. If they had said no, I would have gone like that, and they would have, oh, okay. Like I would have been stunned. That would be all it would take. You want to get to that level where you never have to do anything. You just do that. Like, are you kidding me? My mom did it like this. She had the look. That was all it took. She never said anything about it. It was just a look. She never did anything. That's what my kids say. Why are we so afraid of you? You never did anything. I had the look. That's where you want to go. You don't have to do anything, but you got to work for that. I put the work in to get to that. So maintaining respect is easy. Getting it is hard work. Okay. If you don't have it now, it's hard work, but it's worth it. It usually only takes 3 to 6 weeks. A teenager that only listens to his dad, that gives him his way. Well, he's not listening to anybody then. He's just in charge. That's not listening. Mom is more like your parenting. Yeah. I was going to go on a rant about that because there's a whole, I could go on and on about that. Never mind. How to communicate with a 1-year-old? Well, little ones are all, they understand what you're saying. They just don't necessarily, they can't talk, but they can understand what you're saying usually. But yeah, they're all about actions. Babies and toddlers, they're all about actions. They're not about words. It's about actions. How do you gain respect from a 2-year-old? Be consistent, and consistent corrective actions. And repetitive. Like if I said no, that would never have been turned into a yes, ever. And they'll still keep pushing for a while, but they'll eventually give up. So yeah, make sure when you say something, and pick your battles carefully. Pick only ones that you're willing to win. Okay? I'm losing my mind with a 3-year-old. Well, you can hire me to help you with all this, or you can just try my behavior board on your own. It's free on my website, bratbusters.com. Can you put a suggested donation area in on the Bratbuster website? I don't do that. I don't know what you mean by that. On the suggested donation area. So you want to donate money to me? Is that what you mean? I'm just naive about all this stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't take that. But thanks anyway. If that's what you mean. So maybe I'm saying something and people are going, that's not what she meant at all, you idiots. I don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't accept that. But thank you very much. Appreciate that. You know what's the best thing for me is if you like what I'm saying, is you share it with other parents. Not necessarily so they'll watch me, but just spread the word that children desperately need, crave, and want leaders. And if you don't be the leader for your children, they're going to be susceptible to peer pressure, bullies, the internet, the drug dealer on the corner, the Kardashians. They're going to be susceptible to anything out there if you're not the leader. Once you're the leader, right through the teen years, they're going to come to you first. They're going to tell you everything. You're a safe place to land. So work on your leadership skills. They need, crave, and want that. Yeah, if you don't do it, they're going to look elsewhere for it. So did I make a fool out of myself? Was that a donation to my, you know what I'm saying? Someone said something once, and this was early on in TikTok about a year ago when I first came on, and it was during a live, and someone said something, and my daughter was on the other, she used to watch my lives when I was first getting going with this. And anyways, I said something, I said, thank you. And she goes, they were insulting you, Mom. And I made such a fool out of myself. Everyone was laughing. I don't care. I'm old. I don't care. Okay. Yes, I would like to pay you because your course is free. But yes, I will share it. Thanks so much. Yeah, I don't, that's free. I'm thrilled to hand that out to anyone who wants that. That is my gift to anybody who wants to learn how to be a leader, that behavior board. Thanks so much for your support. I do appreciate it. Thank you. My 5-year-old daughter is not really interested in reading and writing. What? Okay. Here's the thing is that reminds me of a lot of similar comments when they say, how do I get them to like school? And I go, are you kidding me? How do I get them to like cleaning a toilet? I taught my kids, you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. Sometimes we have to do things that aren't fun. That's called discipline. That's self-discipline. That you discipline your children when they're young so that they have self-discipline. Like, do you know what? I'd have no memory of ever once reminding my kids to go to bed, sit at the dinner table, do their homework, get ready for school. Not one of those things. They had self-discipline from a really tiny age, like I would say by about 3.5 or 4. I don't have any memory of reminding them about any of that because they understood as soon as they did all those things, life was great. We had a very happy, goofy home life, so it was great. So why would they, yeah, work before play, exactly. Then both my kids are phenomenal workers because they understand that. You got to earn the fun, right? That's what I taught them, earn the fun. And they never felt hard done by. We had a great life. They were never yelled at. They were hardly ever disciplined. So we had a great positive environment with no conflict. It was very rare. Yeah, how much involvement should parents have or not have in teens' homework? If they're never doing it, a lot. I would have them do their homework near you. And it's usually on a computer, have the screen facing you. It's going to be a lot of work for you, but yeah, it's worth it. Just say, look, I know you don't like doing it. You got to do it. And I'm your parent. So we're just going to have to get through this together. So there's no phones or anything while they're doing that. It's just get it done. Just get it done. Just get it done. Support them, help them get through it, but just teach them it's got to be done. Got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. I'm so confused. I did PayPal $400. What's confusing about that? That would be my 3-session package. So, oh, you didn't get anything back? I physically do that. I have a very specific system in the way I do. Is that what you're saying? I contact everyone within 24 hours after they sign up for coaching. But I don't like that. I haven't got it automated. I don't want to tell you why because it's boring, but I do that myself. So let me just check here to make sure it's you because someone, it could have been from, was it from yesterday? When did you sign up? If so, I would have sent you an email by now if you signed up. So I don't recognize that name though, if that's your real name. Anyway, yes. Okay, well, I would have sent you an email yesterday. I don't recognize that name. Let me just check here. Anyway, send me another email and let me know what's going on. It's lisa@bratbusters.com. Let me know. It was a bit ago. It would have been within 24 hours. I have a very specific system on how I handle new clients. And it's me. I do it. So I'm very fussy about that. I have other people helping me with some stuff, not with that. It was a bit ago. Okay, well, I will look that up. But send me an email anyway. I would have sent an email. If I didn't, I'll give you a freebie session. That's what I do. I've messed up. I've done it twice in the last year where I've missed someone. I didn't send an email. It went to spam or something and I just deleted it. So I always talk about making amends. Yeah, if I messed up, I'll make it up to you. Okay. Oh, good. I love your parenting. A child will do whatever works. So they only do what works past the age of about 3.5 to 4. They only do what works. It's been powerful in my parenting. Excellent. You understand that if they're doing something you don't like and they're past that age, it's got to be working for them because they're not like us. They're not habitual. They don't have all this baggage like we do. We keep doing the same stupid thing over and over again, expecting different results. I do anyway. But kids don't. They switch. Well, that wasn't working. I'll try something else. Or maybe I'll just be good. If being good works, like I always told my kids, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure that that's my job. And I did. I was on top of that. If they were ever rude or disrespectful, I made sure there was a consequence. I said, it was your choice. So yeah, March 11th. What? Geez, that's bugging me right now. I want to check it. I won't do it right now, but I'll look it up. I've got to look it up. Let me just look it up. I have to. It's driving me nuts now. It's too far back. Sorry. Um, and that is your real name, eh? Sorry, because I've got a live going, my computer is really slow. Oh, here it is. I've sent you several. I sent it on March 11th, and then I sent a follow-up saying, I still haven't heard from you. So send me another email. So I said on the 29th, I said, I still haven't heard from you because you have to sign forms. So I've sent you 2 emails, and I sent you the email. I sent it to the email that was on the PayPal. Sometimes people don't use that email. So that might have been what's happened. So yeah, but anyway, we'll follow up with that. I'll look into that, but make sure I've got the right email because I only use the PayPal email. Anyway, sorry, back to this. So that was driving me nuts. Okay, phew, wasn't me. Who could very well have been, but I'm pretty careful with that. When people hire me, that's my first priority is my clients. So I'm pretty decent with that. Okay, let me see here. Now we're all invested at this point. Yeah. So anyway, it could very well be, maybe I copied down the email wrong. I could even check into that. So it still could be me, but let's not go with that. Let's say it was your fault. But I'll check into it. Maybe I could have potentially copied and pasted the email wrong. If so, oops, I'll make it up to you. But I don't think so because it had the full name and the .com at the end. So, but we'll see. Yeah, if you hire me, make sure you follow up. If you don't hear from me within 24 hours, follow up because something would have happened. I'm very strict with that because I work 7 days a week on my business with that. So, okay. Okay. Yikes. My daughter is dating a girl who is a troublemaker. How do I stop it without her hate? Well, she's older. I don't know the age. And you don't. None of your business. Sorry about that. Nothing you can do. They will always pick whoever they're seeing over their parents. Maybe not in the long term, but in the short term. It's just the way it is. Don't even go there. Do not go there. Yeah, good luck with that one. They'll always pick who they're dating over their or anybody else in the moment when it's all heated. Yeah. Okay. Are you able to talk about parenting through trauma on the mother's end? So the mother is traumatized? I don't know. Or the child. I deal with all this sort of stuff in coaching. So that's coaching though, because I can't deal with it until I know what's happened. My clients will tell, because sometimes what happens a lot in coaching is I get clients who tell their friends or family and then they hire me. Then they all compare notes. So I get this a lot and they'll say, none of our notes are the same. You talk to every single client completely differently. And I said, I know, of course I do. Like, because you're all different. So that's why it's very hard for me to generalize, especially when we're talking about trauma. There's nothing general about that. So I've dealt with all sorts of trauma, the worst you can think of, all sorts of horrible, awful stuff. And it's all different. So I can't really comment on that here. It'd be very irresponsible of me to do so. Okay, I found your email. Oh, okay, good. So it wasn't me. Whew. It could very well have been. Even though I was backtracking and trying to blame you the whole time. But whew. Okay, and I should be able to get you in, as long as you sign all those forms, I should be able to get you in within a week. That's usually how it works. I work weird hours, so. Okay, if this girl's getting kicked out of stores and I don't want her to. It's the girl is getting kicked. Oh, okay. Oh, you're answering someone else. Okay. Right, maybe I just need to hire you. Hire, it's cute. My website is bratbusters.com. And anyway. Okay. Mother, I has severe trauma from her mother. Yeah. You know, a lot of coaching is never about the kids. Never. They're just a reflection of your parenting. So it's always about you because I can't change your kids. I could get respect for them, pretty sure about that. But I'm teaching you how to change your parenting, how to strengthen your leadership skills. And it's never about the kids. It's all about you and whatever else you went through in the past. Oftentimes, I'll hit a roadblock with a parent and they'll say, nothing you've said has worked. and they get really upset. And I say, where are you coming from with that? What happened in your childhood? Then then the waterworks starts. And so a lot of it is dealing with your own baggage, right? That's a huge part of it. And I always say, I am not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, but clients keep saying, yes, you are, because a lot of it is dealing with what you're going through, because it's not about your kids. Never. It's about you. Okay, how do you not yell? I grew up in a yelling family. I teach you what else to do instead of yelling. So you replace yelling with other things. And plus, if you're a yeller, you always put on the behavior board, your rule is no yelling. That is always your rule. If you do yell, you have to do something for your kids. So, and it's something you don't like. Like one mom said to me, she goes, I know what it is. And I said, what? Because it's usually playing with your kids in their world, something they want. And she goes, it's leapfrog. I'd never heard that one before, leapfrog. And I said, you mean leapfrog? And yeah. So I don't think she yelled much after that. She didn't want to play leapfrog. So it's incentive not to yell. There's got to be some consequence to yelling, right? If it was something you really hated doing, like leapfrog, wouldn't you stop yelling? Like, and the kids love all this stuff. The waterworks facts. Yeah, comes up all the time. All the time. I often get dads crying, moms crying, both of them crying. It brings up a lot of your own stuff, right? I do this all the time. It brings up stuff. There's nothing more personal than your kids to you. So sometimes I will push you. Yes, I do. I know I kind of sometimes do that, but I got to get past these blocks. Okay. What to do to a child who says, I don't love them? I'm going to answer that. And then first of all, I'm going to have to go. It's been an hour now. My website is bratbusters.com. You can hire me, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. The behavior board has you on it too, which is what makes it work, because you're giving respect to get it. It's teaching you how to be a leader. So what do you do if your kid says, I hate you, you hate me, I'm awful, you're awful, blah, blah, blah. If they're only saying that when they're mad, I would go like this. This is how I'd react. I'd go, whatever. And then I'd completely ignore it. But I'd let them know I heard, and this is what I think of it. Whatever. But if they say that when you're at Disneyland having a great time, then I would investigate that. So if they're only doing it, it's pure manipulation if they're angry. It's just a way to get under your skin. If you let that get under your skin, they're in charge, not you. So yeah, just remember that whatever. It was funny. I was telling this to this client once, and she said, I can't say it like that. So we played it out. She practiced with me, and she said, it worked. It was for the kids went, because they were used to her going, I do love you, I do. And she just turned around one day and went, whatever, and went back. And they were just like, that was her turning point. There's often something that just changes everything. And that was the one that changes. Should I download that before our first session? Don't worry about it. If we have a session, I go through everything. And if you're going to hire me, do not do that behavior board on your own first. Because if you mess that up, it's harder for us to get some traction with it. And plus, I'm going to push you a lot harder than you would. If you're going to do it on your own, pick a rule you know you can win. You don't pick a battle you're not sure you can win. You want to make sure, if you're doing this alone, make sure you pick a battle or a rule that you know you can follow through on and win. If you hire me, I'll push you so you often don't win, because I know how to use that to our advantage in the next session. But don't you do that. Okay, of course I'm going to push you a lot harder than you're pushing yourself, because I know how to, I'll just be helping you with it, right? It's completely different. So anyway, you are hard. I didn't see the email. Just didn't see the email. Yeah, thank God it wasn't me. It had me sweating there for a minute. I hate it when I make a mistake, especially with clients. If I make a mistake with a client, I'm just freaking out. So yeah, but I've done that a couple times. And parents love that because they always get free sessions out of it. So anyway, okay, I got to run. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye now.